Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Let
Yeah,
me just
cool.
make sure it's all recorded, and I think we're good. Yeah, so it's all recorded. So cool. Sounds good. Do you see on your end?
Yeah, all good.
Cool. All right, just to make sure it's a Hannes. Is that how you pronounce it correctly?
Hannes.
Hannes.
Hannes, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's appreciated. Just a little quick info. I was at the Palladium show a few weeks ago in Hollywood,
All
and
right.
that was the same weekend, as Ramstein playing. Iron
Yeah.
Maiden played near me for 2 days, and I remember Chris during the end of the show was talking that there was a insanely big crowd, great crowd as usual for Sabaton shows, and I just really felt the. I've been seeing Sabaton in California for about I think since Maidenfest in 2013, the San Bernardino show with Megadeth, Anthrax, and there's just seems to be the special bond slash like excitement for Sabaton in California. Has the band noticed this too? And what do you like? What are your thoughts about California? One of the states in the country, but one of the best metal cities and states, I would say.
Yeah. No, I actually totally agree with you. It is a special show there every time, and it's you always have on a tour, you have some places that for sure it's going to be great because they keep being awesome, so and to be able to come back now and do our own full full headline tour like that, and to get that response, I mean, it's really pinch yourself in the arm kind of material, it's we are super fortunate to be able to do this, and coming out of a pandemic, you for sure are not taking it for granted either, it feels like all the bands are hungry to come out and play, and people are hungry to come and see music, so no, it's been a great tour, really.
It's really great to hear. And going also too is it's been a few years since the band's headlined, and there for me personally, I've only seen I think this is like third time seeing Sabaton headline, and I think there is a pretty big difference between the support shows and the headline shows.
Yeah.
Obviously, the amount of time you get to play and everything too, but there's just so much more. The set, like the songs, the type of songs, the themes and concepts, the props you use. I feel that it opens the setup so much more. And the band, I mean, mostly I would assume headlines a whole lot more these days than before. But is there that much of it like a difference for the band when they do support and when you guys do support maybe those shows and headline? There is really that big of a difference, isn't there?
It is for sure. I mean, supporting there's a good reason why bands do that, and it's a very good way. I mean, basically what you're doing, you're playing for other bands' crowds to and expose your music. But yeah, I mean, when you do a headline tour, it's your rules. We can bring as much stage production as we can, with the stages being different every day. And now I think it really pays off here. We've been going at it quite a lot here in the States, and I'm super happy to see that there are results.
And just talking with the it was interesting seeing Joakim play Christmas truce of the show with like I think from where I was standing it was like a piano, I think, or a piano or a keyboard.
Yeah, it's a
And
piano.
piano, okay. And it's nice because a lot of people don't know is responsible for most of, if not all of the keyboard arrangements on the records.
Yeah, yeah,
And obviously, you don't get to see him play it live because he's singing and jumping all around and everything.
yeah.
So just actually seeing that was just interesting because you get a sense of like the musicianship that he is responsible for, not just the vocals. So from the studio aspect, and then some of the times that he'll perform with that live, what is it like writing with, or either seeing it or writing with him with the other side of those vocals with the keyboards and the arrangements? Is he responsible for other parts of the songs or just that particularly?
Well, to begin with, Joachim is a phenomenal piano player. He's super talented, and I always enjoy writing music with him because if I would write a song, I would write it off guitar. but he writes the majority of the songs from a piano perspective, which to me is it's a very cool way of writing music. You have everything there, and when he's so fast with melodies too. Like, so no, it's a very enjoyable process, and just a great knowledge of music in general and what progressions works here and that won't work, and then it's a matter of trying and trying. Yeah.
Are the vocal lines also based off those melodies? Because a lot of the Sabaton, like a lot of the vocal parts, it's like very da da da. It's like a lot like this like rhythm that he sings in, and you hear the music and you hear the keyboard being played. So is a lot of the lyrical, not stories, but the I guess singing melodies and stuff based off of where he starts on piano?
Yeah, yeah. Usually, usually you'd even do the, if it's a demo, that is, you even record the vocal line with a piano, and sometimes you just sing it, and even if there are no vocals yet, you can sing whatever, just made up words to see if it works or not. Okay. So songwriting is an endless trying, failing, trying, failing. Sometimes you get lucky and the song writes itself in 1 hour, but yeah, it's a lot of work, and then some songs have to rest, and you pick it back up a week or a year later and see, if you got stuck on a certain part, or you had something else in mind when you started the song, but it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to be. So yeah.
I found it interesting that you said that on your side that you would contribute more of in a guitar perspective, even though you're a drummer. I always like personally when either whatever the instrument the person is known for playing, you on stage with the drums, same with the vocals, that you'll contribute in different ways. So when you say guitar, do you actually supply guitar riffs and arrangements in the songs, or that's how you help write?
No, I can for sure do that. I'm a terrible guitar player, but I can for demo. It works. You know what I mean? So, and then I can ask Chris to guitarify it, or Tommy for that matter, who's excellent guitar players. So yeah, it's whatever works. And then the main goal is to write as good of a song as we possibly can. And the way of getting there is whatever works.
And I noticed that around 2012, 2013 is where the majority of the latest band members, yourself and Tommy in the band now, it was right before the Heroes album, I believe. What Joakim is obviously the started the band, I believe, or one of the starters, and is still the longest tenured member. What happened around that time for the most of the band to have new members with him? And it sounds like it's like this is for the last 9 years, this has been the band basically. What happened in that time when you joined the band and the rest of the others joined? That must have been a very big milestone for the band at that time.
Yeah, I mean, as any band, when there's a big lineup change, it's always super scary, And me, I can only speak for myself, but me walking into this band, I try to play the stuff that Daniel, which is the previous drummer, recorded with as much respect as I can for the stuff he recorded, right? And he's also a great friend of mine, and but I'm still going to do it my own way with my touch. But still, I have to come in with a good amount of respect for what he recorded and play it with respect, simply, And then now my 4th album, I think it is. Yeah, and a couple of live releases in between there, and a few singles here and there. Yeah, but it's cool, and it takes a few years as a new band, or like coming together as a group to make it a band basically.
And with the war to end all wars, noticing the production that Joakim's vocals were it seemed a little higher in the mix, but with a few more these kind of chorus effects, or a little bit of this ambiance with it, and then the music you can still hear, but I felt like it was ironic that there was a symphonic version of the album that was released, and I felt that I can feel, even hearing that version to the regular version, that you can hear some of those same similarities, especially with some of like the slower songs like Christmas Truce and everything.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the production elements and what was different about writing this album, and keeping in mind that there was a symphonic version of it, which I'm sure a lot of fans out there like who, as a good introduction, even like classical players and people
Yeah.
get into metal, they can hear that what it's like. Just I'm curious about the production elements and how this album was made.
So this was made really mid-pandemic, right? So first off, we had to. It was a bit new for us to think about that while you record an album. So first off, we had to make a plan. How can we record this album in the safest way possible for everybody involved, but also making sure that there's no lacking in quality of the recording because of that. So we kind of went in shifts, and kept as minimum amount of people in the studio at the time as we possibly could. But other than that, I wouldn't say there's any big difference in production. You always try to do it better than your previous work. So of course there will be things on the previous album that maybe we should have had higher tuned tones on this album. Okay, then we'll try that. So I think that the setup before we start recording is takes more time than the actual when we push record. And I think to me, the War Channel Wars and Great Wars are very dynamic and organic albums.
And and it's interesting too that like again, there's so much material of the band, and even with like the song lengths, like it's good that like there's maybe what 9 to 10 songs, and it sometimes maybe reaches 45 minutes. For as grand as the song like concepts and the lyrics are and the stories that you write about, you're kind of in and out with a lot of the songs, so you don't, I guess, overstay. Like like I get the band's not going to be writing 10-minute songs, I don't think. So I've maybe, but I found that like just interesting that the amount of like there's a lot of work that goes into it. Yet then the songs are memorable, but they don't stay too long over. And I guess that's just that's maybe more material to do other EPs and other things. It's just you can still make a lot of little material without putting 4 years work. This album and nothing else for 3 years, so you can do other stuff in there.
Yeah.
That's kind of just to keep things going and keep everything moving, right?
Yeah, but I don't think there's ever any active thinking like, okay, we need to do a short song, we need to do a long song, we need to do this type of song. Okay. It's more that it's a very natural process of writing. I mean, I guess you can, if you paint a painting, one day it's red and the next day it's going to be blue. It all depends on the song and what I mean, we're there to make as good songs as we possibly can. That's the end game, because we enjoy doing it, right? And then if it's Soldier of Heaven, which is a lot of synthesizers and Siemens drums, like, hey, that's great, and we like it, and it's not more complicated than that. Yeah, some songs are longer, some are shorter.
And is it like it took? I think I think one of the last like smaller shows I saw, the band did a headlining show in Hollywood like 6-7 years ago with some locals, and that was my first time seeing Sabaton headline, and that was for myself to see for the first time. Like it's hard to see them support again, because I said earlier the set is so different, and there's just so much more the band can do. There's a lot of props or not. And you've made a name for yourself in North America, especially playing like the Palladium and even venues as big, if not bigger. And I'm just curious that for next year, and what is like that goal like? Is it just like, well, I guess what's that next step for Sabaton in North America to either even get on with bigger bands, or to continue these very large club shows and tours, or to do other unique things around certain maybe monuments in the DC area or Philadelphia? I'm curious of like this tour is extremely successful, right? So maybe that will like change the momentum to do something even more grand next year. Are there any goals or anything to keep in mind?
There are for sure. I mean, now we're in the middle of this one, so that's where our focus is 100%. And then, every time we've been coming over, the shows have been better and bigger, and more people seem to be really getting into it, which is awesome, and we can do this and keep going. I would be the happiest drummer ever, and I guess that's the goal.
And it's something that I think more than any other show I've ever been to, that I see so many parents and bring their kids there, and it's not just for the kids to see, but I think the parents really enjoy it. With amount of the amount of history and subjects you talk about, and how the songs are arranged with those, and the props, and just how genuine and pleasant the band seems to be on stage and off stage. I've never really seen like this before, and it's not like Sabbath, like it's a kids only show, so you have to like tone things down. It's just the environment just seems to be extra kid friendly. And I'm just and he would take, at the end of shows, Joakim would, bring a little child up, put the glasses on, have them, headbang a song at the end, which I think is really cool, and that's gonna stay with that child and the parents and the community forever. They're gonna remember that, and that's gonna want to influence them to, like, that was great. Maybe I can do that for someone else in the band someday. I'm just have you also, like, I've never seen that before at a metal show like that, and it's cool. It's really cool to see. I just want to know where that like started or came from like that, or it's cool. I just don't know where it started.
No, me neither. But I agree with what you're saying. I think that, I mean, in my soon to be 10 years in this band, I don't think I've ever seen a fight in the crowd, ever. So I think our fans that, they come out and they are there for the right reason. They love music, and so do we, and yeah, I guess in a way we celebrate that together. And there's always a common misconception, to me anyway, where you have a band and you have a crowd. But what makes the show? It's this, right? That's the show, not one and one. It is a mutual thing, and in the end, it's 50-50. If people don't show up, we can't play. So I guess if that resonates all the way through, I'm very happy for it.
And one thing I noticed too on this tour with the Epica being the main opener, having a long set, which I think is great. There's some tours where it's like 3 bands. The first band gets 30, the second band gets 40, and the main band gets 90. It's cool that you're able to and their hour set was unbelievable too. Like that was a really great tasteful symphonic metal set. But with going forward, with I believe the band continuing to get popular, continuing to sell, continuing to go to these big shows and big tours, is there maybe a point to where like you could would the band ever consider bringing it, like doing certain shows or certain areas with like maybe playing a local? For an example, there was this band near me where I live called Anubis. Like they have their power thrash metal, and instantly I thought they would be a great opener for that Sabaton show.
Yeah.
Like I just like how they sounded and the melodies and the singing. And is that something that the band has maybe ever like talked about, or maybe for special shows or tours to maybe bring out locals to give them a boost, and then just to or something like that?
Oh yeah, for sure, and we've done it many times as well. I mean, in general, you want to have a support band that we like musically and personally, and then hopefully our fans are into their music too. It's music, right? So there's the more the merrier, really, So if we can help in that sense, we've been helped like that, supporting many tours. So yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yes.
Cool. I think that'd be really, especially for each kind of city. That would just bring a flair, and then just add something, and then that just helps like kind of everybody.
Yeah.
And I find it like fascinating, like lyrically, that there's just so much like material, there's so much history and historical evidence and material that Sabaton writes with. And I think the possibilities are endless because you can talk about so many types of stories, wars, battles, tales, and you can make them into different types of songs with the material. And is it almost sometimes there it can be almost too like you have so much material, like does it ever even become over, like you like we just don't know where to start? Or is the formula to finding what works for the album, what works for the band to write about, is that kind of easy to do?
No,
No.
no, it's a real jungle, and I don't know how many people know that, but a lot of the stories that we have have been sent in by fans or people that are also have a very genuine interest in history. So we'll get an email that says, "Hey, check this story out," and we never heard about it. So we'll put that in a folder, and then when the time is right and when the music is right, which is the most important thing to make sure that the music justifies the story. That's the tricky job, I guess, because you have one shot at a story, right? So yeah, it takes a lot of research and a lot of thinking and back and forth for sure. Yeah,
When you say that the story has to justify the music, is it pretty simple? Like, is it just as
the opposite.
Oh, okay. Well, I meant more of like, is it easy to say like if there's a story or a war or a tale that's maybe more positive-ish, does the music have to reflect that, or is it can be like ironic? It just taking the time to pinpoint what works best, either on the nose or away from it. That's the challenge, right?
That is the challenge. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, for sure. I mean, there are we have a lot of songs that are very hopeful, and it's a positive thing. Then of course it helps if the music kind of travels with the story. But yeah, for sure, it is the biggest challenge of making an album.
Going forward for next year, would the band like to tour like the North America like once a year, twice a year? I know visas can always be tricky, and then with things in Europe right now, I'm told from bands on our side from North America that like there's been over the summer touring was just a mess with transportation,
Yeah.
um, the weather, and just it was really hard. So I'm hoping it gets better over there. Um, and everything. But at least for the band coming to North America, is it like something like at this point, let's hope, pandemic is what it is. Let's hope everything stays how it's been going. Is that kind of it's going to be a tradition that the band will tour at least once or twice to North America? Like if the band chooses to, that's pretty much like how you guys would like to come as much as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. Uh, we're musicians. We play music. That's what we do, and that's what we need to be doing. So yeah, man, this band is. We always try to plan far ahead and to be aware of, like you said, logistics. This summer was a very exciting summer to be out and be traveling. But yeah, I think it comes back to good planning in the end.
Would there be something possible like I know the Sabaton did you guys are doing your own festival for many years. Would it be possible to do something like that in North America maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, would be a possibility for sure.
It's funny because you guys are from over in Sweden. I work at IKEA actually. So when they mentioned IKEA, I was like, that's me.
All
Um,
right, the Swedish
yeah,
embassy.
yeah, right. I'm forklift driver, so the meatballs and the forklifts, you need both.
Awesome, that's great.
And it's just funny that from the where the band comes from, that North America, like you guys are doing, like there's some bands from Europe who I talked to said that, oh, we rather play in America because of just the amount of people, the places, and like they feel like it's like their second home. From all the years I've seen the band, it feels like it's the same way. No.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, for sure. I enjoy playing everywhere, really. It for me, maybe it's because people always ask me which is the best country to play shows in, but I can never pick a country. It's from show to show. So yeah, I mean, this tour has been fantastic. The amount of people that are coming out and having a good time, that's the most we could wish for. And then, yeah, just enjoying playing really.
Is there a place that the band hasn't gone to that that either they're long overdue, or you've now been told that that place or country like is demanding Sabaton to play? Is there a place that the band hasn't been to yet that maybe we'd be surprised about?
Yeah, there's many places we haven't played, and then it comes down to the luxury problem of, I guess, having time. Trying to fit it in. That's also a tricky part when you do long tours and the album cycles are long. So yeah, it is a luxury problem to pick where we're gonna play and when. Yo.
No, it's a good. I guess it's a good problem to have, and then it must be difficult certain years because places that love you, like maybe this time we can't come around. This time we maybe have to do something else, this or this. So
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah,
busier the band is, the better it is, right?
yeah. But it's like writing a set list these days. It's also getting tricky. 10 albums or something. Then
Yeah.
you need to please everyone, but you're not going to be able to do that every time.
And actually, my last question in general about what you're saying, and maybe I'm one of the few people who's this way. I want bands to play their new albums because generally, if the music is good, the music's good. Like nostalgia for only so long. Like a lot of the band's first albums are amazing. Sometimes, not so much. And I remember in '07, I'll never forget it. The video of Bruce Dickinson when they were doing the Matter of Life and Death out, they did the whole album, and a fan of the sign said, "Play your old stuff," and he ripped the sign out. I rather a band change it up. I rather because each time you play, each time you tour, it's a different story. If I know how the story's going to be the next three times, it's going to be like I know what's going to happen. I know they're going to play this. They're going to end this. They're going to end this.
Right.
I challenge and welcome bands when they do different sets and play certain things, and it doesn't have to be my favorite songs. That's fine. Just change it up because then you're telling us that what's wrong with the other material you don't play from. I just don't want a band to be a greatest hits band. I can't stand it. I think it's disrespectful to the band itself from all the other material, and for the fans, it's like we know what you're gonna play, and there's bands that like I love that are kind of doing that now, and it's just disappointing because the other material, if you played one song that's different, the crowd would go insane. So like there's a couple songs on this set you played that were different. I'm like, good.
Cut out now.
I can you hear me?
Oh,
can you hear me?
now you're back. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was good on my end. But I was just pretty much saying that, yeah, I don't like when bands do greatest hits sets. So I'm glad when bands change it up. And that challenge about that, like, does everyone kind of pick the songs that you guys suggest different ideas? Is that how it kind of works?
Yeah, totally. Making a set list is a lot of back and forth, in and out, arguing with guitar players. And then just trying to make such a dynamic and diverse set list as possible. But I think you also need to be open to listen to the people that come to the show and see your shows as well, because that's the best research you can do, as a band. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just like when bands change it up and they and there's been a few bands like more the death metal bands like Revocation and Beyond Creation played their like latest albums a couple years ago in whole, and it was like their best show I've seen them play because the material was so strong. So yeah.
And it's good for the band too, because they need to rehearse and it's fun to do for them, which brings energy in itself. Yeah, for sure. But it's a tricky balance making set lists, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. I just wish there was more of an effort, even if you can't change everything, just a little more effort to changing it up here and there. And it doesn't have to be an anniversary tour every time, but just hey, hey, we don't have to play Metal Crew on this tour. Cool. I love that song personally, but it's no problem. Let's hear another song as the band gets better musicians, as the band becomes better musicians, the band like does this and this more. That song you maybe not played a couple years ago will sound better now.
always development is good. Yeah, for sure.
I agree with that. Great. And so, as they say, thank you again for your time. Is there anything you'd like to say for the rest of the tour and couple months left in the year? I think it's been a pretty eventful year, to say the least, especially in North America. Anything you'd like to end with?
Well, thank you for an amazing North American tour, everyone that came out. We can't thank you enough. It's been a blast, and I can't wait to come back.
We're very excited to have you. And again, thank you very much for your time. And we'll hope to see you sooner than later.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
You take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.